taking offense to Dr. Mike saying the kettlebell's sort of useless for training because you can't go heavy enough to get strong and it's not great for bodybuilding. And then Jeff Nippard did the same thing. He was like, D F tier is the kettlebell swing. And so people lost their mind. And so it's just been really fun for me sitting on the sideline, looking at the kettlebell people talking smack one way, the bodybuilding talking smack this other way. It's very enjoyable. It's silly, but it's enjoyable. How different that is from trainers historically going and grabbing workouts from Muscle and Fitness magazine or Men's Fitness and just regurgitating
Same
something
thing.
else that they found. So I don't know if that's going to actually how much that changes. I think it bypasses the trainer application and goes straight to the consumer.
Before you listen to the podcast, please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments below, who do you want us to host next on our podcast? He is back, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only. Well, he could be way better than Kevin Costner in Dancing with the Wolves, but just with kettlebells. The dancing kettlebell star, Clifton Harski.
Hello. It's good to be back. I frolicked my way in here.
Yes, somehow. Man, how do you like the presentation like that?
I love it. It was so funny when you sent me the Dancing with the Bells, I
Yeah.
immediately was laughing so hard because I'm like, yeah, I did the same. That's why I was happy to share the same one with you.
Man, the thing is, when I see something like that, I just find it so funny what's happening. The whole fitness industry is at times so freaking ridiculous that we forget that we're fighting for the same thing, for the same team. You know what I mean?
A
It's
hundred percent.
But we're building camps, and then, one camp is trying to troll the other, and so on and so on. And that is just not what I would like to see for our industry. It's no, no, I don't want that.
I'm actually like, I'm not in the middle of it because while I definitely make fun of people and I poke fun, I try to poke fun in every direction, especially if I'm poking fun at myself.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has happened in the last month here is the entire kettlebell community, which feels silly even saying that, but the kettlebell community has been going to war with the bodybuilding community.
Mhm.
And it kind of started with somebody taking some of the kettlebell people. I call us kettle dorks or kettle dweebs, kettle doofuses, um, taking offense to Dr. Mike saying the kettlebell's sort of useless for training because you can't go heavy enough to get strong and it's not great for bodybuilding. And then Jeff Nippard did the same thing. He was like, D F tier is the kettlebell swing. And so people lost their mind. And so it's just been really fun for me sitting on the sideline, looking at the kettlebell people talking smack one way, the bodybuilding talking smack this other way. It's very enjoyable. It's silly, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, being on the sidelines is more enjoyable, to be fair, because you can root for both teams actually, but without anybody knowing. Here's the
100%.
thing. Yeah, I've seen that. I've done a podcast with Dr. Mike. I think he's a phenomenal guy, very reasonable guy. And I know that he is more into the bodybuilding world slash strength slash martial arts. And I, I have to admit that the majority of the points he's making are quite valid.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, I like kettlebell stuff as well. Because as we've talked about in our previous podcast, people train for different purposes. So it's not all about aesthetics. It's not all about power output, just, being good in three major lifts. And that was the perspective and the point of view that you brought up. And I started to see things differently because of you, which I have to say thanks. You know,
That's
but
cool to hear.
it has changed a lot of my views on training and so on, because despite me being teaching about that stuff, you still kind of hold to old beliefs and old sayings, and just because you like it.
Right.
And but then I started thinking, well, you change yourself throughout the years many times, reinvented yourself, tried CrossFit, tried that, tried the other one, competed in bodybuilding. I was competing in triathlon. I've done it all because I like to be training different
Yep.
stuff. And that's it. How do you look at all of that? Because I know that you're a training nerd as such too. It's not just kettlebell, is it?
It's not just kettlebell. That just tends to be like, so even in these discussions, I'm like, I mean, Mike's right. Dr. Mike's right. It's not the best for hypertrophy. So it doesn't mean you can't use it and they go do better stuff for hypertrophy.
Mm,
So the way that I tend to go about it, there's a bit of logistics, right? Like, so if when I'm going about it from a professional, I have a gym, I'm going, what tools do I have? What client am I trying to serve? This is what the type of formula I have to create. And that's where I think a lot of professionals get lost is they've only got their experience in one modality. They became the hypertrophy guy, and so the lens that they see everything in life is hypertrophy, or they became the yoga guy, and so everything is based around yoga. It's like if I was a kettlebell guy and everything was based on kettlebells, then I would be wrong a lot of the time.
mm,
And I think that's where a lot of people start out. So like your bigger background of chasing bodybuilding, triathlon, CrossFit, these are very different training styles, all of them. And so you probably learned great takeaways from each of those modalities, things either to include or not include going forward. And I think that's a huge benefit for us having that experience, and then we can help other clients. But a lot of the loud, newer folks, their business, whether they're selling training, they're selling their program, revolves around the one style that they do, and that is now their brand. And so they shout it loudly that that is the way to go because they're just selling themselves. It's way harder to be like, hey, take a measured approach and you got to be able to adapt and do this, this, and this versus kettlebells are stupid.
yeah, true. I get it to a degree as a businessman,
Oh, yeah, I
you
totally
know,
get
because at the end, it is about business. We all make money. We have to make money to be able to survive in this freaky world right now. But if you gotta talk like that and it's benefiting you and you don't hurt people with that, I'm quite okay.
it. Yep.
And what I've seen oftentimes with Dr. Mike, especially, and even Jeff Nippard, is when they talk like that, if you look at a broader perspective than in the back scenes, they mention exactly what you've said right now. You know, for that, it's not okay, or it's not beneficial for hypertrophy and so on.
Right.
But quite honestly, we both are guilty of the same thing, aren't we? We try to do the 30, 45 seconds videos that are making people stop and get them into another channel where we can talk more in depth about things. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is how the society functions right now, which is stupid because we talked about it before. You had a call where somebody
Today.
told you that they're learning how.
So they said, yeah, I'm looking at doing your course because for the last 7 years, all my education has come from Instagram. And I was like, oh, that's not education at all.
That's so freaking crazy. I've got several calls like that, but one sticked out for me because that person told me, yeah, yeah, I think that I'm quite knowledgeable. And I said, yeah, how come? What did you do so far? Did you take any courses? Do you went on any seminars, congresses, whatever? No, no, no. I've been learning a lot through TikTok. I
Yep.
was I had to, when you shake your head and did I hear that right? Did the person just told me that they were learning or he was learning from TikTok? Learning from TikTok? Are you kidding me? And in my opinion, I'm in many cases I put things on my Myrtle list. You know the Myrtle list, right? I'm
No.
too old for that.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that guy, Murdoch. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, TikTok somehow represents sitting on a toilet, taking a scrolling through stuff just to have a laugh while taking a because usually shit goes out easier like that, you know what I mean? And that's about it. And I was just thinking to myself before heading back to the office for our talk today that I'm at a stage in my life when you turn 40 plus, you find out that you just don't give a shit anymore about certain things in life. You just don't, you say what you want to say because you can. And yeah, TikTok is for me scrolling while taking a shit. What's your perspective on TikTok and learning from TikTok?
Oh man. I can't imagine like the talk that I've been so in engagement with seminar attendees, or if and I have a rule, I don't engage in arguments online. I don't negative comment anybody. It's a waste of time. And but when I'm watching people's engagement, you see so often people are regurgitating good information, like from Andy Galpin or Mike or Jeff, because they put out good information
Mm,
and it's for their niche. It's not their fault that kettlebells get their panties in a twist because they said the swing isn't good for hypertrophy. It's not. Calm down, kettlebell guys. Like it's just
mm,
they were correct.
yeah,
Um, but you see this, it's like playing the game of telephone. You'll see the second and third person watch the 30-second clip of a podcast, and then they'll say they learned it and they never watched the podcast. They never went deeper than the 30-second clip and they screw up the application a little bit. And it's like lengthened partials. Everybody started doing lengthened partials for
yeah,
everything because of some Instagram and TikToks.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Milo Wolf and his research, it's really phenomenal if you start reading it and dig in.
Yeah.
And that was, what Mike told on our podcast and many times over as well was, well, even Milo Wolf, the PhD guy for lengthened partials, says do both, do all of it because it's still better than just one. And people, but this is my problem. Why the hell do we have to pick camps? Why? Do you really feel so much of a need of belonging somewhere that that's why you're doing it? Because it certainly doesn't make too much sense doing that.
Right.
It's not logical.
No, I think the main thing that a lot of people get is we ascribe our training style or the thing we like to do to who we are,
Mm,
right? And this is true for a lot of people. Somebody that body builds identifies as a bodybuilder. And so if you say bodybuilding is stupid, it's purely vanity, then they will take that as an attack on them as a person.
mm.
If Mike says kettlebells are stupid, then the people that love kettlebells go, "Did you just call me stupid?" And so we have this like emotional response to being attacked. CrossFitters, like everybody has this. Um, and especially in the echo chamber of S&C fitness professionals online that aren't even talking to clients, but
Mm,
we're talking amongst ourselves about who does fitness the best.
yeah.
Yeah, we just take offense to people saying that what we do is not as good.
Mm. But I mean, you have to do some crazy shit in your life to come forward anyway. I've tried all of it. Yeah, I mean, it was triathlon. It was martial arts, still is. I'm still training. I never went into powerlifting. I wanted to. I was quite strong, but never went truly into it. Bodybuilding was my thing for a while. Still is. I like it. I like the training style. I like the effort that you have to put in.
Yeah.
I never liked running despite doing triathlon. It was just a pain in the ass for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate it. I hate it. And I was just doing it because I had to. I was doing my world record attempt in 2012, being on a static cycle on a spin bike for 11 days nonstop. I attended Zumba classes. I even tried pole dancing once.
That's amazing.
That was, oh, you should see me, man. I'm glad there are no photos of it. That
Now,
would be
what
really,
what
no,
outfit were you wearing?
that's why I'm saying that. I'm glad that there are no photos. But you know what? Looking at your pictures and your videos at times, you wouldn't be too embarrassed of that outfit.
No, it looks like I was pole dancing and I'm just doing regular day-to-day stuff. I'm just at the grocery store.
But yeah, but you know, that's the point. Since I was with you in Croatia back then, that was what, 2022?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just starting to think about certain things differently. You know, just yeah, I don't have to like it for myself to understand why others can do it.
Right.
Yeah. So what was your actually, you spoke about it in our private event prior. What was your progression into what you do today? You know, where you started, where are you coming from? What did you do?
So I went to school for kinesiology, but I was working as a manager at a supermarket for Trader Joe's. This is a like a bougie little unique grocery store. And I used to say that gave me the best start in the fitness I ever could have had because I was a fitness consumer for 6 years before I ever became a full-time fitness as a vocation.
Mm,
So I was a client of CrossFit. I used to take I used to take 4 to 8 week blocks of time to try specific training styles, and my test was how did it make me feel and perform on the basketball court? Because I always, I played some college basketball, and that was my, is this training good? Am I better on the basketball court? Do I
mhm.
feel better? And so I would do 6 weeks in a row of nothing but yoga, 6 weeks in a row of a pure bodybuilding, 10 weeks in a row of CrossFit, all Pilates, and just have these various tests to see how I did. So my start was being a consumer. And then when it finally got to where I was going to have to, they were basically, hey, you can be the number one in a store. And I was like, well, that's not what I want to do. I'm 27.
Mm,
I quit and I went full time into fitness. And I had my own boot camp in San Diego on the beach. I was interning at Todd Durkin. You probably know that name, Todd Durkin.
yeah,
At his gym, I interned there for a while. Uh, I worked in a big box gym doing one-on-one sessions. And then I was fortunate enough to end up taking a 5-day workshop in West Virginia from Erwan LaCour at MoveNet. And we struck a chord. And I said, hey, I can teach your courses for you. And he hired me. And then that gave me the in where I taught almost 100 events in
mm,
16 months. And I had a lot of different people come to those. And they said, this guy at least is entertaining enough that he can teach a course and not be a doofus,
yeah,
not a complete doofus. And so that set me
small.
up. Yeah, just a small doofus. That set me up to get hired by additional people and set me up to take over managing that new company called Fitwall that we grew to 7 locations. So while we grew that, that gave me a huge amount of experience of starting a brand new gym chain
Mm,
from they didn't know what their concept was. They knew they had one piece of equipment and they're like, from here, it's a blank canvas. And so developing it from the ground up taught me a ton about figuring out who you're trying to sell to, what type of workout it is that creates the person that comes in. Or
mm,
like if you talk to a CrossFit gym, I know CrossFit helps a lot of different people, but if we're being honest, it tends to be a little more active of a population going to a CrossFit gym than an Orange Theory.
yeah,
And Orange Theory is more active than your general group classes in a big box club. And so if you only work in that one environment, a lot of times your experiences are shaped by just that one type of client, and you don't actually have a good appreciation for what other people do. The biggest disconnect is when you have S&C, sport performance coaches saying what's important and fitness people trying to listen to them. Because
Yeah.
it's like, no, your general fitness people don't need that. Or the opposite is true. You got a general fitness person saying your landing mechanics for a jump and how you land is important to teach clients, which if you're training like 50-year-old women that haven't jumped in a while, it is. But if you're a strength coach that's working with 17-year-old athletes that are playing basketball 3 days a week, you don't need to teach them landing mechanics. They're landing 100 times every quarter in their basketball game in weird ways. It's not a big enough training stimulus. And so you have both of them arguing about what's important and what's not. And it's just their experiences don't allow them to say, oh, it might be different.
Sorry. What I think it's happening to us in the industry is we try to be so specific that we actually, because of that, forget about specifics. You know what I mean? So we don't see the forest because of too many trees.
Yep.
That's in my opinion what's going on right now, and especially with the assistance of AI, because
Right.
people are just putting everything into AI hands, and you can tell that because 80% of all the stuff that we read out on Instagram when you pursue your education on Instagram, it's uh, it's AI written. At the same time, I don't think that AI can ever take away a job of a PT. You know why?
Correct.
People lie. People don't just lie to us as trainers, people lie to themselves every day to make them feel better. And AI works incredibly well if you can formulate a proper prompt that is really good, loaded with specifics, valid and accurate information, and you're honest. But you cannot be even honest to yourself. So, how the hell will you create that prompt for the AI to take care of you?
Right.
You know?
And when is AI going to be good enough to be serving as accountability and sometimes motivation or inspiration? Because I think that's where we really help people out is, you know, people don't want to let down their coach if they do a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. It's being the compassionate leader at times, understanding that sometimes you have to be harsh and strong
Yep.
and rule with the iron hand, with the iron fist, because people need that at times, a
Yep.
kick in the ass. And AI doesn't know when to do what. That's pure emotion
Yep.
and connecting your emotion with experience. And no machine in the world can do that.
No, it's gonna be really freaky when they figure it out. But
Yeah, fuck yeah. I've seen a meme about that I'm not worried about AI taking my job because I want to see a robot, oh my God, waxing an asshole. You know what I mean? So but it gets you thinking at times. I like to
that's
have fun.
amazing.
When I see these things because I told you before, like it's like TikTok, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, it's a problem and it's not a problem. It is a problem to a degree because people think that they can figure out everything on their own just by putting it into ChatGPT or whatever AI they choose.
Yep.
But then in the end, what they get is partial info that is not adjusted to their needs.
Right.
Well, have you
It's
have you noticed that shift on the market while educating?
the challenge. I've had a lot of people talk about other trainers grabbing workouts from AI. Now, I don't necessarily know how different that is from trainers historically going and grabbing workouts from Muscle and Fitness magazine
Mhm.
or Men's Fitness and just regurgitating.
Same
something
thing.
else that they found. So I don't know if that's going to actually how much that changes. I think it bypasses the trainer application and goes straight to the consumer, right? Because the challenge I think that a lot of that trainers have with selling sometimes to people is if the consumer doesn't value training because they think they can get the information, you get a lot of guys, I'm just going to follow the men's fitness program. I'm going to buy the book and I'll follow this book. Well, now it's one step that feels more personal. They enter, my name's Cliff. I'm 6'1", 210 pounds. Here's what I want to do from a workout program. Can you write me a program? It makes it so much easier to get this feeling of a personalized program that as people get more comfortable with using any type of AI, they're going to use it more and more. I was reading about ads recently. Google ads stopped being as effective in some ways. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what some marketers said. It stopped being as effective because a lot of the search engine volume moved from Google into various AI searches.
It does.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so um, instead of asking somebody for information from Google about a basketball stat, my 8-year-old is always asking me about NBA stats. I stopped using Google and I put it in ChatGPT now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's gonna so I think it's right like we the term Google it happened how many years after Google existed? Because you
Yeah.
used to search in Yahoo, you used to search in Netscape, and then
Oh,
Google,
fuck. Yeah. We're that old.
yeah, Google cornered the market, and now you Google it, just like you Xerox something instead of having a photocopy.
Yeah.
So it's at a certain point, it's no longer to be Googling it. It's going to be searching on AI because it's going to be a much better, it's a better software to get you the answer.
It already is. It
Yeah.
already is. Because you get much more context with it immediately.
So
And
I had a crazy question recently that I asked ChatGPT because I was toying with the idea. There hasn't been any like real new kettlebell book that's come out in a long time, right?
mm,
It's like Pavel's done it, that's it.
yeah.
But I really think like what we do with the kettlebell is very different from what other people are doing with it. And the justification rationale around the talk that I just gave to your students was I think it's a decently unique way of explaining why to do these types of things.
Mm,
And I was like, I wonder how easy it would be to write a book in ChatGPT. So I asked it a couple questions. I was like, can you write a book about kettlebells? It said yes. And it just spat out like, here's the order, here's what I would do, here's what I would do. Do you want me to make it? And I was like, that's crazy. Because you could basically tell it, write 200 pages and kick out a book.
mm.
And then I asked some follow-up. I was like, all right, let's do it like a interview. You interview me, so you write it my way. And then I even went a step further because I was like, some of these interviews that I've done on pods, I'm like, can you go get this transcript and use that as the basis for the information and then ask me follow-up questions? And it's like, yeah. And so I'm now going, I think I can write this book really easy if I use that tool.
Yes. I helped myself a lot with writing my book, the manual. When I had to do it with ChatGPT, well, the reason why I did not let ChatGPT write it for me, but I am not a native English speaker.
Sure.
So I needed assistance with that. So I was writing a lot of stuff and, reading a lot of stuff and so on. So I used it as an assistant to get
Right.
my grammar better, to form the sentences better, and so on. It helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It's true that I worked my freaking ass off. So I sat myself down at 8 in the morning, worked through to 2 a.m., went to sleep, woke up. Here we go again for 3 months because it wasn't a pressure. And I know for myself that if I put myself under enough pressure and I have deadlines, I get done.
Right.
So I did it. But since then, all the AI technology improved so much that I'm really thinking about it right now to write something like that exactly from my podcasts, from my teachings, because I have like over three over 300 or 400 hours of teaching recorded,
Right,
you know? So you can teach your own AI how to think like you, or at least similar to that. And
right.
yes, that would be definitely helpful.
Yeah. That's my thought. And I'm like, maybe I'll try it out on my non-existent free time. I think
Yeah.
next year I'll have some free time.
Man, you're invited still. So whenever you guys, you and Amy need some free time, you give me a call. We find good tickets. You come over, use my office, do whatever the hell you want. Stay for, I don't know, take the kids during the annual holidays. Stay here for 1 month. It's cheaper than US anyway,
Yeah,
and we have better food too.
it's true.
Yeah, it is like that. So you're invited. You just give me a call and you get over here.
All right. Well, it's funny when we were talking about ads, about costs, as I was analyzing last year, my best performance on a CPM and a click through and number of link clicks in total was the Croatia ads.
Yeah.
However, we had them priced incorrectly, in my opinion. We kept it too close to our US costs, which is way out of scope with where we were going.
Yeah.
Um, and so now, and same thing was true actually, even in Germany, even in Amsterdam, just our US pricing just so much higher than the comparative stuff
Hmm.
that was heading over. So I think we want to do it again this year and actually have different Europe prices. We're going to find out.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I'm willing
definitely.
to host you.
Okay.
Why not? But all of the prices went massively down. There was so much down, all the courses, everything that I see. That was the reason for me to change some of the things that we do and to get away from certain things. Look at that. I want your opinion on that. So what I've done, I was teaching all of my courses explicitly live. Everything was live,
Hmm.
8 weeks straight. So I ended up teaching silly amounts of weekends because everything was on a weekend. It was
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday. And when I'm teaching, I wake up at, let's say, 6 or 7. I set everything up. I prepare myself. We start at 9, going to 5. Then I'm collating because we are recording everything. Then I'm taking the recordings, cut them up, edit them, put them online, put them on a website for review, and so on and so on. So it takes, let's say, at least 12 to 14-hour days.
Yeah.
And I was doing that in 2024, 42 weekends.
Wow.
42 weekends of full on teaching. But that's not all because we are doing on Wednesdays live Q&A sessions. And I've added up an extra Friday 3-hour slot just to cover everything that I wanted to cover. So the course was getting more extensive every year.
Yeah.
And I've said, does it really make a difference if I teach 10 times per year anatomy? Does it make a difference if I teach 10 times per year live muscle physiology, energy systems, and so on? And I don't think it does because these things never change. Anatomy
Right.
is as it is, energy systems are as they are. Muscle physiology will not change. The cell structure is as it is. So we cannot make a difference by teaching that live 10 times a year. So I said, look, if I have all that material already recorded, I will pick the best out, cut them up, edit them properly, and put it up online so that people can learn on their own pace when they have the time,
Yep.
not spending silly, endless weekends with me preaching about it, stuff that never changes. And let's do a proper weekend live event where we can actually teach, where we can make a difference, and we can stand out on the market to our competition. What do you think? I'm
I,
just,
I think it makes total sense. So we run a 8 week kettlebell course online, and we're going to eventually do the same thing where a lot of the core materials are just going to be more professionally recorded instead of a live Zoom. And people go in and they watch that And then we have office hours, and we have a live workout per week for application. Then we have the private Thinkific group where people can submit their videos for form feedback. Because the important thing, so kettlebell is a very different course, obviously, than your general course.
Yeah.
On the lecture-based stuff, yeah, I don't know if it, the only benefit of doing it live is the accountability of sitting there and doing it live. But then you have to, online, you have to wonder like how much are they pulling their phone up anyway and not paying attention. So I like the pre-recorded because they can chunk it into smaller sections, pay more attention. That's why I like our 8 week kettlebell course even more than our 2 day in-person course, is because I only have to pay attention for 2 hours. I won't get physically blown away. Um, so it makes a ton of sense to do it recorded and still have live availability options.
Oh,
The other
definitely.
the other thing that helps with, right, at least for our business, whether it be in-person events on a weekend or live in person, the two major considerations, one is funds. That is what it is. It costs us to produce things. But the second is timing. And so if they're limited by having to be there on that specific weekend or for that specific 8 weeks or that specific evening or the 2 hours in the middle of the day, you chop off a lot of people that could otherwise benefit from it
Mhm.
just because they don't have the availability. So that's our sweet spot, is it's here, it's at these times, it's live for kettlebells. It's live if you want to do it live. If you don't want to do it live, everything's recorded and you can watch it after. But here are the times during the week you can have live access to us for immediate feedback.
Mhm.
And that blend has streamlined the business more. And I don't think it has pulled the quality of the education down at all. If anything, if you're picking the best stuff or you have a dedicated shoot, that's going to be the best lecture experience that they got, because now
Absolutely.
you're not running into fatigue or boredom or resentment. Like, everybody deals with those three things in any line of work eventually. And so I think it's the way to go personally.
And we can focus more on quality now because I have absolutely more time for research, doing new stuff, and preparing, everything that I want to include. So
Right.
that was the reason why I'm sharing that like that, because I hope that other trainers will look at our podcast today and draw, and get something positive from it. Maybe some ideas how I can do better. And when
Yeah.
I'm doing my mentorship programs and my business coaching, you know, I am way more prone to going hybrid or online than I was before. And here's a reason why. We both were training many people for many years offline, one-on-one or group settings.
Yep.
The problem with that is they get they pay actually for your time, not for what you can do for them.
Right.
I believe that going online with more structured programs and so on, you can really provide a much higher value service than just on one-on-one. Because one-on-one for me was always about training. Yeah, we talked about things, but now I can go and I can do, like the private event today. 1 hour. You're my guest this month. Dr. Mike was our guest in January. Dr. Dean St. Mart, phenomenal guy on pharmacology and so on, and the not so legal stuff, but he knows everything about it. So you can hear different people speak. This is for the trainers, but I'm doing it the same thing with my clients. So now they get way deeper information. It's like educating them. So giving them the know-how, giving them the training they need to take care of themselves long term. And the reason they stay is more or less for accountability and support
Right.
and community. And I think that's so much more beneficial than just going there and teaching somebody how to squat for 10 hours.
Yep. Totally.
So that's my take on it. And I think that the industry will have to change a bit. But speaking of the kettlebell courses, what would you say if you're looking for a clientele? So who would it be for? What trainers are you looking for to take that course?
I think so. We stick into three main I guess there's four disciplines or styles of trainer. The one-on-one trainer that works at a big box gym, if it's a busy gym, honestly, the kettlebell is really convenient because all you need is one or two and some open floor space, not even a lot of open floor space, and you can get a lot of really valuable work done with that one tool. So it um, makes it really easy to do a good job with a tight gym floor environment because of the busyness. The other thing it does is it stands out for that trainer, that one-on-one trainer. People doing kettlebell stuff, it kind of just looks cool. I mean, if we're being honest, and it doesn't look cool to everybody. Certainly, some people look at it and be like, that's intimidating. That looks like a cannonball attached to a handle. But there's a lot of people that look at it and they're like, that looks really cool. I mean, my wife and I do our crazy kettlebell athletic workouts in the gym, and every single workout, we get multiple people that come up and they're like, what are you training for? Like, how do I learn this? Can I train with you? What do I do? And we don't take clients there just because of busyness, but we would have a very full book just by training on the floor that way. And I know there's lots of kettlebell trainers or people that use kettlebells in the lifetimes and equinoxes that have a full book of business just because clients saw it and thought it looked cool.
Mm,
So that's one. Number two is the trainer that or business owner that has kettlebells as a big piece of their business offering. And so you look at something like an F45, they have kettlebells in every class. So it makes sense that their trainers should know how to use it.
mm,
Same thing for CrossFit. It's CrossFit actually doesn't come to the courses that much. They think they know everything already, but the box gyms that look like CrossFit but are more general S&C. And then the third person that we get in, we get people that just like kettlebell. So about 10 to even 20% of our courses are just general workout people that really enjoy training with the kettlebell. That's their skill, that's their hobby, honestly, and they want to learn new cool ways to do it. We have a small subset, 5 to 10% of physical therapists that come in
mhm.
to our courses as well, and part of that's because we offer CEUs for physical
Yeah.
therapists.
Okay.
Um, but those, and we teach it that exact way. I go, look, 80% of this course is how to teach the kettlebell in multiple ways so more clients can be successful. Because if I got 10 people, I might need five different strategies because they all have different injury history, different shapes, different sizes, etc. And if I think there's one way to do it, I'm going to miss on at least half of these people for
Mm,
at least some time. So that's 80% of the course. How do you make this more available and more successful for more clients and give more ways to progress? And then 20% is this is cool stuff that you probably like because you are a fitness nerd and that's why you're coming, or you like kettlebells and you want to do cool stuff. It probably won't be applicable to most of your clients, but I'm not going to tell you it is. When I do a hand switch, foot switch, snatch up onto a step, I'm not going to be like, and Grandma Betty needs this in her training
yeah.
because that would be so stupid of me, right? I'm like, but there's a lot of people that actually just like playing around with the kettlebell. They like dancing with the kettlebell and they want to do that cool thing because they feel cool, they feel successful when they unlock that new skill.
Mm. So what if we would like to set it up? That would be the four categories of people that we're searching for.
That's who we're really searching for. And like the ads sort of take care of themselves because it's funny, man. Like we have I'd always be curious to see your meta ads for the courses, right? So when we have our PPSC ads, it's not that exciting of a video if you're taking footage from the course because it's somebody talking for half the time. And then the exercises we do are really fairly basic because we're covering the basics. And so the video is not particularly exciting. The kettlebell video, though, yeah, people snatching big bells, doing weird stuff in different angles. It's eye-catching. And so at least it gets people visually in there. It's one of the reasons on a per event basis, it's sold more over the last year. That'll change next year because um, we haven't announced it yet, but Russ's book will be coming out in this fall, and
Okay.
that will get a lot of eyeballs on it. And so the advertising takes care of itself to a large degree, um, if Meta behaves.
Yeah, we'll see about that
Yeah,
because things are
exactly.
changing fast. But we'll see. We'll see about that. Well, look, because I know that you have to go, so we'll be cutting short this time. But I promise you, well, you'll be back because I really like that convo today. It's good to talk about the industry and about the stuff that's happening.
Well, I think it's also something I don't get a chance to do as much. It's interesting to see the parallels in different marketplaces because a lot of times the US is in a very different spot than Slovenia, than Australia, than Singapore, et cetera. And it's interesting when we're seeing things start acting a little bit more similarly from market to market. The globalization of everything.
It is. The world is getting smaller by the day.
It really is.
Good, man. So, invitation stands. We'll talk another time about possible cooperations over here.
Yep,
And maybe even we can do something well, in a very hot Dubai sun, you know.
that's on my big to-do list. I'd love to get on the back on the horn with you about that.
Yeah, let's look at things. Why not? We just decided to go more into that market. I'll let you
Yeah.
know about it
Okay.
and we'll see. But yeah, I definitely will call you up on that.
Okay.
So, Cliff, thanks for today. Just remember to sign up for our special elite Instagram reel group. I mentioned
That's right. I
not
will.
not
I
not
will.
on our podcast, but you know what I mean. So if you want in, just let me know. There's still some free membership available if you want in.
I will do that.
Was nice talking to you. Nice to see you again after a long time. And I hope that the people that are listening to you, well, I put all the links again into the description. So if you want to see more about functional kettlebell training, more about Clifton Harski and his team, just go into the description, click on it, read it, sign up, pay double, take a friend with you. That's what friends are for. Take them with you when you go for the functional kettlebell training. That's it.
Exactly.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for having me.
If you like this video, then click here to watch more of videos like that. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please click here. And don't forget to tell us in the comments below, who do you want us to host next so that you get the guest that you want?